A chair asked me the other day how they should find a director for their board. It's a great question. Finding the right director is really important. You not only want the right skills, but you want to be able to work with the person and you need to trust them. After all, boards are collective decision-making entities and you rely heavily on the work ethic and on the integrity and on the commitment of your fellow directors. So for that reason, director recruitment is different to executive recruitment. It's happening in a different context and there's different considerations. Here's some things that I think boards should think about in finding a director for their board. Firstly, start with the board composition matrix and identify what are the skill, experience or diversity gaps that you need to fill. Secondly, put those skill, experience and diversity gaps into a position description. So there should be a director position description, just like there is for every other role in your organisation, that sets out the role, the expectations, and then in the case of recruitment, what the selection criteria are. It's also really good to set out the expected time commitment to make sure candidates turn their mind to exactly what is required in terms of travel, meeting frequency, etc. Internally, a board needs to think about how it's going to run a process. So are they going to handle the process themselves? Are they going to engage an agency? Are they going to establish a committee or use a nominations committee, or is the full board going to manage the process? Let's say they've decided to use an agency. Typically then there's two different strategies. The first one, an open, transparent, fully advertised public search. It means you'll cast the net really widely. It does mean also though that you've got a volume to manage. That can be distracting sometimes depending on the quality of candidates who are responding. And also you've got to manage expectations when people respond to advertisements and other public inquiries. The second strategy is a discreet one. The agency goes away, does some research, presents a long list, and then without contacting any of those candidates, the board decides who out of that long list the agency should approach. This is obviously more targeted and helps manage expectations. Once you've got the shortlist, the board will want to do some interviews and decide who are their preferred candidate or maybe candidates at that stage. Having a second interview is also really good. It might be that you include some executives such as the CEO in that second round, might also be that there's a site visit. And that's also starting to also fulfil the candidate due diligence, which is a key part of the role, because any director candidate, because of the liability that they're taking on, is going to want to make sure that they're doing really careful due diligence. They'll ask other questions as well as part of their due diligence, and maybe there needs to be a confidentiality agreement signed in order to properly respond to those questions. Once you've got the offer and acceptance process underway, what you also need to think about as a board is what's your letter of appointment. So once the offer and acceptance is completed, the board should be sending a letter of appointment, sets out very clearly the terms on which the director is engaged, the expectations, attach the position description, maybe also the code of conduct that you ask them to sign. So hopefully some good information there on how to find the right director for your board.